All right. Hello, everyone. We're here to be talking about agents, and I have some really interesting and diverse people with experience in different ways, people that have built, funded, work in some of the most interesting and I would say successful agents and as well as agent frameworks. So to get started quickly, can you do a quick round of intros for the three people that I'm here with? Start with you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Ejaaz. I run a fund which invests in crypto AI. I sometimes talk about this stuff on Bankless, and yeah, that's me.
Hey everyone, I'm Anjali. I've recently founded a AI infrastructure project. Our focus is on enabling the next zero employee company. So how do you create incentive structures and improvement block tracking to make sure that we can attribute value to domain experts who want to build vertical specific agents.
She also created a really cool agent called Lost Dev Girl, which you should definitely follow. It's been judging a bunch of hackathons, and I've got a shell if you want.
Thank you. We're actually already working with Eigen. I don't know if we can drop this, but we've got some alpha. We've got a DevRel agent launching for Eigen very, very soon. So that's going to be cool, coming out soon.
I hope you're going to launch on virtuals.
Nope, we launched our own thing. Sorry, guys.
So unfortunately, I'm sorry. But I'm Chris from Virtuals. We're a leading on-chain agent launching platform. Anybody here in the room can go to Virtuals and in 5 minutes launch their own autonomous agent. Whether you have a lot of understanding of the tech or you simply want to just have an idea, you can go to Virtuals and launch your own on-chain agent.
Okay, great. So I'm going to start with a general question that will hopefully kick this off in a more fun and interesting way. So I'm going to just ask for the three people up here, what is your spicy take on the AI or AI agent meta? Something that we've seen happen, I think, is we speed run the hype cycle very quickly. There are hype cycles that happen all the time in software, but I feel like we've essentially speed run the agent hype cycle, though there are obviously a lot of people that still are in this long term and see the value long term. I think there were some interesting things that kind of happened, and now we're kind of at the trough of disillusionment, kind of riding that next wave. So yeah, I'm just curious what your spicy take is on the meta, not only with agents, but AI in general.
Should I go first?
Yeah.
I was going to say that most agents that exist right now are not going to make it, but I don't think that's controversial anymore. I think that's consensus. So my controversial take is I think all the investment and focus on DeFi AI agents is kind of misdirected at this point. I think there's an over-investment and over-focus on those. I think where the focus should be on the application layer. So some kind of a platform where it kind of functions similar to an app store or something that agents can access for different tools and services.
All right, not a hot take to start. Agent slot bots are over. We're done with that phase, and it's time to move towards really proving value and utility for agents. My hot take is that in crypto we have this hype cycle where we're really interested in the attention and the memetics of something, but we really tend to forget that AI is a really powerful tool, and unless we unlock the value that it's going to provide as tooling rather than a speculative token-based asset, we're not really going to have real adoption, and most people are just going to ride the wave and die as soon as the token dumps. So moving away from the token speculation cycle to actually seeing AI and agents being implemented in day-to-day workflows. And my hottest take is that most agent builders in the space don't have enough AI and ML experience to be actually building valuable agents for Web3. And that's a huge gap in the market right now, and that's what we're trying to fill.
I think as a team, we're really excited about agent commerce and agents working together in swarms. But I think the most exciting about my job is that every day I get to meet really, really interesting founders and people with new and unique ideas. Before this, for example, I was speaking at a science event today, and they were talking a lot about citizen science. Right? So essentially, these could be AI-led projects that citizens as volunteers can contribute data to, whether it be environmental, astrological. So I think you mentioned that a lot of these agents aren't going to be around in 6 months, and probably a lot of the biggest agents in 6 months haven't even been launched.
Yeah, so in terms of actual building like real valuable agents, there's again a lot of hype around potential things. Just like in crypto, we love to talk about what we can potentially do, but there's like a lot less actual like real use cases that have been proven out to actually have happened in that way, right? What I did see recently, though, I think it was just yesterday, I read this news article about this AI agent that basically was bringing real estate deals to a real estate agency that had brought in $100 million of deals that had closed. So like that's an example of something that, you know, in practice can happen. But I guess the question for me next would be, and this wasn't on our initial list, but since we're talking about crypto rails, like what is the value that crypto brings anyway to agents? Like why is crypto a part of this discussion anyway?
Well, I don't think it needs to be included in all agents. So there's like, I think a lot of specific use cases that work well with crypto, and then cases that, you know, don't work so well. You know, at Virtual's protocol, like at least initially, we saw a lot of the agents in the financial space. I think naturally they tied a lot of those to, you know, crypto uses. But then when you expand beyond that, for example, even with something like science, you know, there might not be, you know, a need for the crypto rail.
On our end, I think like the biggest unlock that crypto brings is like incentive mechanism design. And it's the best ways that you can align a person's contribution and their incentive towards like the end product that an agent builds. And so like that's sort of how we think about like crypto and using like crypto guardrails for agents. The other use case is sort of like when it comes to private data or verifiability of agents, like although right now for agents doing like menial tasks, there's no need to have those. But once the agents actually get powerful enough to be transacting millions of dollars of revenue, then you want to make sure that there's no human in the loop and there is verifiability of the models that are being used. Those are sort of the areas that we're thinking about. And also like when we think about like a business that's hiring an agent, you want to run your agent in a TEE or like in a blind compute space so that your documentation, your data is actually private to you and not being used to betrain the model and the agent. And so those are the kind of like main areas that we're considering, like token design and as well as like incentive mechanism through crypto guardrails.
Yeah, I'll just say, I don't know how useful tokens are specifically for agents themselves. I think they're more valuable towards the infrastructure layer of all this stuff that these agents are using. So whether it's coordinating compute, data, model inference, whatever that might be. For the agents themselves, I'm kind of seeing stuff from like 2017 where it's like payment tokens, and that's okay, but maybe there'll be some more thoughtful design mechanisms around orchestrating these agents together. Because as you said, like incentive design is probably the best use case for tokens right now, aside from capital raise. So yeah, I would say probably something around the orchestration layer.
So the agent I mentioned earlier, it basically brought in $100 million in revenue. It's a valuable thing. If something like that was launched in the crypto space, someone might theoretically like tokenize it, right? And then we would potentially say, oh, that's a valuable thing. I want to be a part of that. And maybe they would talk about in the future sharing some of that revenue with token buybacks. I don't know. But that would be something that I would probably like want to invest in or be a part of, right? But a lot of the stuff that we've seen so far has been, like we've already kind of spoken to, social agents where we just attach a token to that and then it kind of like gets hyped up and the price goes up and then it goes down and it kind of like crashes, and that's not like a fun situation to be a part of, right? You want something kind of more sustainable there. But the first part of my question will be around social agents in general. Like how important will those be in the long run? Or was that more of just like a temporary meta that was fun because everyone was able to interact with them? Or is that going to be a part of like this idea long term?
I think it's going to be a part long term. I think the mistake a lot of people make is they attribute each service or product with one agent. And I think usually there's going to be a few agents involved in like an end-to-end product. The reason why I say this is I think the entertainment agents have done a really good job of gathering a community of people. And then you'll have agents on the back end that are doing some of the unsexy work, which is like execution or orchestration. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think like social agents are going anywhere, especially like the way that crypto and like Web3 in general works. like your social platforms are your discoverability mechanism, right? How do you discover a new platform or a new project or a new KOL in the space? It's usually when you go into crypto Twitter and you see them on there, you see other people talking about them. So social agents they're always going to be there. It's going to be the layer, like you discover them and you realize. But to Ejaaz's point, like our agent Solange, there is a front. There's a social agent that's involved that's constantly talking on Twitter, interacting with folks. But underneath it, there's like 22 different agents that are doing little tasks, right? And you're never going to interact with those agents or consider a middle manager agent or a DevOps agent. You don't really need to interact with it. But to know a super CTO agent, knowing the work that it does, you're going to have a discoverability mechanism. And I think that's going to be social platforms for the long term.
Yeah, and I'd agree with what you guys both said. I don't think social agents are going anywhere. They, set the social agenda for a lot of us. And, while, may not be looked at as in terms of like an energetic, technology, but, even just the way that like we digest media, we digest stuff now is all done through algorithms. And so, yeah, social agents, I don't believe are going to be going anywhere.
I actually think there's going to be a rise in social agents, by the way. Like you're already seeing your like OnlyFans social agents and like your like Twitter or Instagram agents. Like they're going to become like another revenue generation stream for a lot of folks. And that is something that's going to only grow in the coming years.
And I think you'll also have these energetic swarms with social agents, right? So, for example, if you go to print media, internet media, and that's where you digest your media sources from, and you see like there's a specific topic that's, covered in different, let's say, categories. That frames that topic as important to the public. And so like, I think as like social agents work more together, like they'll be framing topics that then society will either perceive as more important based upon, their proliferation between the agents.
You mentioned swarms, and I think this was like a hot topic for a hot minute, but I haven't really heard it all that much. Is there an example of any actual implementation of swarms that's working and bringing value? Or is it at the moment still kind of like early and theoretical?
It's pretty early, but like one example is there's an agent that's launched on Virtual Protocol where you as a human can go to an agent, for example, Luna, which is our flagship agent that just demonstrates our tech on our deck. And you can actually go to Luna, ask Luna about ordering a pizza. Luna would then go communicate with another agent called Byte, can send an on-chain payment for that pizza and have that pizza delivered to a physical location for a human.
So is the swarm basically just agent-to-agent communication?
Yeah, so right now that's an agent-to-agent, commerce between them. But then the agents are obviously connecting with DoorDash. So yeah, you'll see it expanding very, very quickly beyond that.
I think the people that have probably the best insight are people literally building agents. I would just say Anjali, she's built something really, really interesting. Solange agent, you kind of touched on it for a minute. Do you want to just talk a little bit more about what Solange is, what it does, why anyone would even be interested in something like that?
Yeah, so Solange is a developer relations agent, so she end-to-end can manage developer relations workflows. Initially, what we started with is sort of like analyzing like open source PR repos, right? So we were talking to Shaw at one point and he said, I have 200 plus open PRs in my repo and like the human in the loop required to sort of manage this is really a high overhead. It would be great to have an agent kind of monitor this. And so Solange basically can can run the code, make sure that it works, highlight any major issues, flaws, bugginess, acts as the initial gate, and then can find like open issues in a repo, submit PRs by herself because she has like plugins and access to a lot of different documentation. Given like a FAQ is asked in your Discord server more than a few times, she can autonomously create content, like sharing that with your community, answer questions when your devs are building on your platform, and they run into an issue on a specific line of code, she can help you sort of analyze and fix that problem for her. So kind of like managing that process, and then we're working with like domain experts like Nader and Rahat from Movement who are constantly giving us like feature updates and requests. And now we're working on a process where given these feature requests, these can be autonomously added as improvement blocks to the agent. And then we can attribute value back to folks like Nader so that when EigenLayer pays to hire Solange, we can make sure that Nader gets his cut out of the improvement block. And so that's sort of like the tech and the improvement structure that we're building.
So for the other two panelists, what are some agents that you are very interested in that are either like existing now or maybe might exist in the future potentially?
In the past couple of weeks, I'm seeing like some really fun agents coming out. I think that the space sometimes it we take ourselves very seriously, And so a simple project that I just recently saw that I really liked is one called Riddle, which has like basically a daily riddle that's done between two different agents through X, and you can see pretty quickly how they're building a community around it. So I know maybe that's not like the popular answer. You want an agent that's going to be doing yield farming or making you money, and you can sit back on the couch. But when I was younger, every day I'd see my mom pull out the New York Times crossword puzzle, and she was really, really good at them, and it was sort of her thing that she looked forward to each day. And so, as what you were talking about, these agents provide services, right, for people, and so people develop these, relationships with these agents. And I think having some agents that, just stand for creating some fun, creating some entertainment are nice to see.
I think two agents worth calling out. One, most recently is called Ask Billy Bets, which is essentially an agent. I think it's on Virtuals, actually.
Yeah.
That does autonomous sports betting specifically on NBA games, which sounds like a really simple or whatever use case. But I think the most important part about it is it's actually using a live fund, which it was given, right? So it was given, I think, $100,000, and I think it's up to $140,000 over the last 5 days over a set of 3 nights of games. You can tell I probably don't watch sport that much. But so that was really cool because for a variety of reasons. Number one, a lot of people that weren't directly involved in crypto interact and use that agent. So it was interacting with its tweets. They somehow found themselves on the Discord talking with the guys about a bunch of different game results and stuff like that. So they hadn't inherently come across crypto, but they came across this agent. That's number one. Number two, this agent under the hood is actually acting autonomously. I don't know if the team is actually here, but I've seen them kind of roaming around. They're using a few different decentralized applications like a Bitensa subnet, for example, which feeds it certain algorithms, which gives it a good look on whether a game is going to be a win or a bet is going to be a win or a loss. So that's one agent. The other agent, for all the DeFi AI fans out there, I think Moby from the Griffin team is worth calling out. So Griffin, for people who don't know, think of it as like ChatGPT for DeFi. So you could literally just talk to it like a normal human being. I think they even have a voice function as well. And it'll do all your swaps, staking, whatever the hell you want on whatever wallet that you guys have. Really simple and easy, but they have an agent which does all the execution for you. And I think that's like a super important one to figure out. And the third one, seeing as I want to give like a variety of different sectors, is Cookie has an agent called, not their actual Cookie agent, but like Swarm. Basically, Cookie is a data platform which feeds you up like social sentiment analysis, market cap share and stuff. And they have a bunch of agents working in the background that does a bunch of the team's work. So now you have a bunch of people on their team which have to do like other stuff that isn't what they used to do, which I thought was pretty cool to see.
And I'll just add on that. Billy Betts is, I think, a great example.
Yeah.
I think what's really cool about what Billy Betts has done is they didn't just like deploy an agent and like sit back, right? So like they've really like built a community around like the devs interacting with the agent like in like live time. So, you can go on, you can watch the devs actually like talk to the agents about the bets. Like they've done a very interactive rollout, which I think has, gotten a lot of attention. Obviously they have the numbers, to
and they can't stop the agent from making a bet. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
They could just like be like, I don't think this what you're doing is right, and the agent could just be like,
yeah, I think they limited the bets to like 15,000 a day.
Yeah.
I assume that'll go up as its wallet increases. But yeah, I mean, I remember when that was launched. Cool concept, cool agent. We've kind of seen that before, though. In the same sense, the way that the dev team really like interacted with the rollout was cool. And then I remember first day it was up to 113. Then it was up to 128. Now it's over 140. So I think that teams that are building in the open and really interacting with their agents are a huge catalyst for the community they build around the agents, not just the tech the agent deploys itself.
All right, so I think we're about there on time. To wrap it up, I would love to know from you three, what is your event that you're most excited about for EthDenver? Or events, plural.
Can I say Eigen Games?
Yes, you definitely can.
I'm super bullish about like bringing more university students to come in, build things. I think we've like need to kind of open up this space and get people to build more cool things and innovate. That's one of the big things that I'm like really bullish on. Lots of like cool like brunches and like meetups with people. Open AGI Summit is always one of my favorites. Love coming here, chatting with the folks here. And I think the main event this year has actually been pretty cool too. So there's kind of a few wins.
Yeah, I think it's like just the friendships you develop and the people that you meet. So it's not particularly like one event in particular, but you go to an event and you develop these relationships. The next day you see somebody again. You know, by the end of the week, you might be starting a business together. You might be, you know, good friends, and yeah, and then also just running into friends that you've seen before.
I think this event was one I'm pretty pumped for. You guys have a bunch of really cool speakers coming up. I'm going to hang around and watch them now. And then there is I'm trying to remember. It was, oh yeah, Freya's having a community meetup. Freya's like an agent team that's building something pretty cool. So I'm going to hang out there.
Okay, well, thank you all for your time today, and we're going to go ahead and let the next group of people come up. Thanks.